How can a person who was registered as a Democrat for 8 years manage to take full control of the Republican Party? How can an outsider become the very face of GOP, the same party that has been riddled with bureaucrats for generations? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of Donald J. Trump, who took the Republican Party by storm. Today, we'll uncover the genius strategies that helped Donald Trump seize the total control of Republican Party and redefine its core ideology along the way. Now, to understand how he did it, we need to go back in time to pre-Trump era, especially from 2008 to 2016. During this time, GOP was struggling to find its footing in rapidly changing political landscape. The party, once known for its strong stance on economy, national interest, and traditional values, was grappling with the series of internal and external conflicts. It became directionless and fractured. The first sign of trouble emerged from within. The Republican Party was deeply divided between moderates and hardline conservatives. On one side, there were those who believed that GOP needed to be modernized, embracing more centrist policy to appeal to broader Americans. But on the other side were staunch conservatives who argued that the party was losing its way by compromising too much on its core principles. While this was happening on the background, the country itself was changing. America was becoming more diverse, and Republican Party was struggling to keep up with it. Then came the economic challenges. The infamous 2008 financial crisis hit America hard.
The worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
The Dow traders are standing there watching in amazement. I don't blame them.
We're now down.
And the Republican Party bore much of the blame. After all, it was under Bush administration the economy had collapsed, leading to widespread unemployment and economic uncertainty. By this point, the party of economy had become the party of losers. These challenges left the Republican Party struggling to connect with the working class Americans. People lost most of their trust on their leaders. And then enters Donald Trump, a billionaire, a businessman with no political experience, yet uncanny ability to read the mood of people. Trump wasn't just another typical political candidate. He was a disruptor. He was an outsider who wasn't scared to challenge the party's establishment and bureaucrats. His message was clear from the get-go. The GOP has lost its way and it needs to reset. And the only person who can do that was him. With this message on forefront, Trump promised to drain the swamp. His stance on immigration caught many eyes, but also appealed to those who felt ignored and betrayed by both Democrats and Republican Party. His unfiltered style, the way of messaging, and willingness to speak for those betrayed and feared Americans became the reason that will later open the door of full power and control. In essence, the struggle of GOP created a perfect foundation in which Trump built his campaign. Timing couldn't have been better for Trump, as GOP was going through a leadership vacuum. And Trump didn't just fill this vacuum, he brought a new vision for the party. One that would redefine the Republican Party for years to come. Let's see on exactly how he managed to do that. The outsider's advantage. Donald Trump entered 2016 presidential race as an outsider, someone who wasn't bounded by traditional political norms, someone who didn't rely on establishment for donations. This was his first major advantage. While other candidates were playing by the rules, Donald Trump was playing on a whole different level. He wasn't scared to criticize, whether it was Democrats or even Republicans. He was the candidate of change, and he made that quite clear on his first campaign trail. And then came the power of media manipulation. In this arena, Trump was the master. Being on a TV reality show and countless media appearances, he knew exactly what to do. During his campaign trail, he dominated the news cycle with his controversial statement, outrageous claims, and constant presence on Twitter. But let me clarify though, it wasn't just for the show, it was calculated strategy. By being unpredictable and constantly on the headlines, Trump ensured that he was the focal point of national conversations, and traditional politicians just couldn't keep up. The media, even when critical, gave him unprecedented amount of free coverage, which allowed him to outshine his Republican rivals. Now, with media on palm of his hand, next stage was to bring some excitement. Mobilizing the base. Trump didn't just appeal to the average Republican voters. He created a movement by focusing on issues like immigration, trade, and America's standing on the world stage. He tapped into the deep frustration of working class Americans. His famous slogan, "Make America Great Again," wasn't just a campaign slogan. It was a war cry for millions. He understood that by energizing a passionate and loyal base, he could pressure Republican Party to follow his lead. If not, risk alienating significant portion of his voters. For GOP, the choice was very limited. And with this threat came stage 4, crush the opponents. Within Republican Party, Trump started to dismantle his opposition. He did this not just through debates and campaigns, but through nicknames, personal attacks, and relentless criticisms. Jeb Bush became low energy Jeb, Marco Rubio became Little Marco, and Ted Cruz became Lying Ted. These attacks were not just insults, these were strategic moves to delegitimize his opponents in the eyes of voters. By the time Republican primaries were over, he has effectively neutralized his competition, leaving him as a last man standing. Now, he knew that crushing his opponents were not enough, so he needed to create some fear. Now comes stage 5, loyalty and fear. Once in power, Trump demanded absolute loyalty from the Republicans. He quickly established that those who opposed him would face severe consequences, often in the form of public shaming or the threat of losing the seat. This fear was enough to keep most of the Republicans in line. But it wasn't just fear. He rewarded the absolute loyalty with his endorsement, support, and access to his base. He created a system where alliance with Trump would bring a lot of success for any politicians. Policies like America First, strict immigration control, and more isolated approach to international relations became the guiding principle. Let me tell you this shift didn't happen overnight, but by the end of his first term, it was crystal clear. Republican Party had become Trump's party. Then came the cult-like personality. Finally, Trump's control over Republican Party can be attributed to cult-like personality that he cultivated. His supporter didn't just see him as a politician, they saw him as a larger-than-life figure who could do no wrong. This level of devotion is rare in politics, and it gave Trump a unique power. His endorsement could make or break careers. Even after leaving office, his influence on Republican Party remains strong because his base believed in him more than they believed in Republican Party itself. And then came the long-lasting legacy. Donald Trump's takeover of Republican Party wasn't just a political victory, it was a transformation. By leveraging outsiders' status, manipulating the media, mobilizing the loyal fan base, and demanding absolute loyalty, he didn't just lead GOP, he revolutionized the entire American politics. As we look into the future, one thing is clear. Trump's influence on American politics will be felt for years to come. But the question remains, what does American politics will look like in post-Trump era? Only time will tell. But you can find out how did he revolutionize American politics by watching this video here. Until next week,